In the 90s, the world was going through a period of crisis and it suffered several changes and many technological advances. At the beginning of the decade, we highlight the fact that the USA became a power. On the other hand, there's the reunification of Germany, the disintegration of the USSR, and a couple of wars as it can be the Bosnia War or the Gulf War. We also live the tragic death of many important people as Princess Diana, Tupac or Freddie Mercury as well. Anyway, the leisure was another important point in the decade. There appeared some new music styles as Britpop, where we highlight the bands as Oasis, Blur or Radiohead. The grunge style was also a boom in those years, with some famous bands such as Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains or Soundgarden. They really made history and I'm a huge fan of all of them. Tarantino surprised us with the brilliant Pulp Fiction. Titanic made us cry a lot as well as Toy Story. We can also take a lot about wonderful serials as the Rugrats, Johnny Bravo or Courage, the Coward Dog. But our topic are the video games, so let's get it started!
During the 90s decade, we highlight the 4th, 5th and 6th console generations. The 4th generation started few years before the 90s, with the release of Mega Drive from Sega, which was the most important console as well as the Super Nintendo. It also appeared the Neo Geo, a recreation arcade console. The 4th generation is considered the golden age of video games. The 5th generation started in 1993 with the Amiga CD32 from Commodore. The most important console of this generation were the Sega Saturn, the Nintendo 64 and the first PlayStation, which became the meaning of video games. The Game Boy Color was the most sold portable console of the decade. The 90s ended up with the 6th console generation, highlighting the release of Sega Dreamcast and many other important consoles during the 2000s.
Super Mario 64 is a platform game made for the video game console Nintendo 64. It was published in 1996 and it's considered the first game of Mario saga in 3D. As well as the other Mario games, Mario has got to rescue Princess Peach, who had been caught by Bowser, the evil character of the game. Once she's been saved, they'll return to the castle where they'll celebrate with a big cake. Another game I've chosen and that was very important in the 90s is Final Fantasy VII. Its saga is one of the most known sagas all around the world and it's been played by most people from that ages. Final Fantasy VII, which belongs to that saga, had sold in 2004 more than 111 million copies since its publication in 1997. Other game is the Need for Speed. As you may know, it's a game where you've got to compete on car races all over the world. Its saga has sold since the first game a total of 100 million of copies and it's considered one of the sagas which has sold more games. And finally I'm gonna talk about Warcraft, Orcs and Humans. It's a real-time strategy game where you've got basically to distribute some resources like gold, wood or food for fighting in the war with the enemies. This game had a good reception because of the copies it sold, the comments of the reviewers and for the 3 awards it won.
There has always been violent video games, but in the 90s this violence grew up due to the improvement of the graphics. These violent video games weren't well received by Project, but it didn't avoid its production. 2 of the most violent games in the 90s were Doom. Usually the enemies disappear when they are removed, but in this game the corpse don't disappear and there is a lot of blood and deaths. It was very criticized and controversial. And what's more, it was rated with the worst gunfire of the USA. The other game I'm going to talk is 13. It was classified as AO, or adults only. Although it was expected to have successful sales, it never got to release because of its violence and sexual content. Nevertheless, these games seem harmless to us now, but thanks to them we now can enjoy true violent video games.
The first mobile games are in the 60s, and since the world of video games hasn't stopped. In contemporary society, they constitute and induce that at least 120,000 people and generate multi-billion-dollar profits that increase year after year. Video games are being advanced in compute for the future, for the creation of method of the community as the possibility of the improved education. People who use video games develop a skill at acquiring information that can improve people training. Now the technology is that governs us.